Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Am I audible? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Am I audible? Hello, am I audible? Can those who are watching, can they confirm? Okay. So, yeah. So once again, good evening to all of you. I am Rohinth, and I am an IRS officer of the 2018 batch. That is, I cleared this exam in 2000 in the civil service exam of the year 2017 and joined in 18. And before this, I was a CRPF assistant commandant. I had cleared CAPF 2015, and I had cleared civil services exam in my fourth attempt. So furthermore, I'll share with you that okay, much loud. Okay, sorry. Anyways, yeah. So I'll share with you that I was preparing from home. I was in Chennai, and I was preparing entirely in Chennai, and it was in my fourth attempt that I finally managed to clear this exam. So firstly, thanks to UPSC guide and your dear admin Abhijit, who has been so kind enough to take time out of his busy schedule to, instead of while studying, he's contacting people like me to guide all his fellow aspirants. So hats off to him. So yeah, so today I was asked to speak about how to keep oneself motivated and disciplined during the preparation stage. So I'll share with instead of giving out tips like what are there in the books, I'll just share with you my journey of my preparation, or the days of my preparation, how I struggled, or how I overcame all those things. So I'll share with you all those things, so you can draw out your own interpretation and whatever you might like. And further on, we will see some of the queries and some of the uh, questions that were posted to me. So yeah, so motivation and discipline, so these two things are different things, so you have to realize that. So first we'll deal with discipline. So discipline is basically uh, being yourself and following something that you have set out for, right? You uh, adhere to certain rules that you make for yourself without anyone being there to monitor you. So that is what is discipline. So uh, in my opinion, it is not something which requires you to be following a stringent timetable. Say, like, I've seen people who say that they've studied for 18 hours, 16 hours a day, continuously. That is something which I really can't do. That is impossible for me. I can't sit and study for more than 10 minutes continuously. So sorry, I really don't subscribe to that idea of discipline. For me, discipline is more enjoyable, actually. So, and I do consider myself a very disciplined person. So if you see, um, what does UPSC want? UPSC wants normal people, right? They don't want something extraordinary. You don't have to be a school topper throughout, or you don't have to be a PhD in something. You just have to be uh, a normal person who's just analytical, who's having an analytical bent of mind, and is well aware about his or her own surroundings and what is happening in the country and what is important for the society, right? So we cannot cut ourselves out from the rest of the society and lock ourselves in for a year or two, and I don't think that is the idea of UPSC. So in as we go on further, we will I'll share with you why I feel so that UPSC is not like other exams. So yeah, where was I? So yeah, cutting off from social media is one thing which I've seen people do. And I, for one, had never done that. I was active on all social media, be it Facebook or WhatsApp, and every single thing. I never kept my phone away. In fact, once every few minutes, I would check my phone and text someone. So it is not something that I do, cutting off from social media, because I believe that to crack this exam, you don't have to be someone else. You don't have to pretend that you're someone else. You just have to have the confidence that you yourself are disciplined. You should have that uh, self-discipline. That's the word. So you should have certain goals, like for instance, whatever they may, how big or small they may be. You should have certain goals, and you should ensure that you complete them. So I, for instance, had a minimum goal that every day I must finish my that particular day's newspaper, because I never liked carrying forward previous day's newspaper for the next day. That used to irritate me a lot, and I used to feel very uncomfortable with that. So um, if you see, that was my minimum goal. So every day I used to, that was my bare minimum, and further, whatever, like I used to schedule that I'll do this particular mm, current affairs module of say May month or June month or whatever it is. Of that, few topics I do on that particular day, and I used to study bare minimal, but I still used to consider myself disciplined. Further, beyond that, I used to do a lot of other things. I used to go for running every day, almost every day. I'd say every day I used to go for running, because as I put on weight, I used to feel uh, very irritated. That used to completely destroy my normal life, and I used to feel it definitely irritates me, and I can't study. So that was one. I used to go to running every day. Evening, I used to go and play football, and of course, I cannot fail to mention that I used to watch movies, and I used to play a lot of video games. I used to get caught a lot at home playing video games, but let me tell you that every form of entertainment is also a source of information. So you just cannot just stick to your books and not do anything else. That is something which is impossible. It is not humanly possible to study 18 hours a day for 1.5 years. That is not possible at all. So I used to play video games, I used to play football, I used to watch movies, I used to do everything, and in fact, in between, I used to travel also. So if you see that these movies, every movie, you can derive a lot of information from them. um, any movies for that fact, even uh, but predominantly I'm saying movies of not the masala nature, but generally art movies or normal movies as such. They're a lot of information. If you keep your eyes and ears open, you can always uh, grab some information or the other. So similarly, while playing video games, I used to find that my entire map was through video games. Say FIFA, the club names, that taught me the entire geography of Europe, because I could relate. So this particular club is in this country, so that way my geography was improving. Similarly, if you follow NBA, your every state of USA is covered. Your geography is done for USA. You have the GI tag of every state, whatever that state is famous for. Like Chicago Bulls is famous because they it's famous for the meat industry. That is why Chicago is associated with bulls. So yeah, so this way I was enjoying my preparation. I was disciplined in my own head. I was disciplined. I know that I'm not doing anything wrong. I was learning, and I was consciously learning. And before that, I was doing it subconsciously. Whatever all these years I have been doing subconsciously, I was doing it consciously now. And even traveling for that matter, because when you travel, I had traveled to the northeast, and I had seen Roots Bridge, and all those things came in the prelims paper. So everywhere you have information. There is no dearth of it. You just have to keep your eyes and ears open, and I think that is the real discipline. If you really want to call yourself discipline, this is what will is like the you know the key to it. So uh, further, you see, um, I made one mistake, I'd say. Not mistake, but it was my more of my inability. I could not spend time with my friends. But I think a person who's coming in for UPSC or for any examination, I think he or she must be holistically developed. And like I said, uh, being part of your friends, being part of the society is very much important, because at the end of the day, you being a civil servant are going to interact with the society, and you need to know what the problem of the society is. So but the reason why I could not interact with my friends or go out with them, because they used to go for trips for days long, and that was not feasible for me. Firstly, because of financial constraints, I didn't want to ask my parents for money, because all my friends were earning and I was still dependent on my parents. So that's one thing. I think we should still be associated with the society. And yeah, so I think now we'll quickly, I think discipline, but talking about discipline is uh, it's we have already spoken a lot. So the basic thing is that whatever goals you set for yourself, just stick to it, and don't strain yourself too much that you don't enjoy the process. You have to enjoy the process of studying, enjoy the process of getting selected for this exam, and just uh, make goals on a daily basis, or on a short term basis, which are doable, which are not taxing on you, and you will be disciplined in it. Now talking about motivation, I'd say that I think it would be better if I narrate to you my own journey of preparation. So my very first attempt was right after college. I had not prepared anything. I was right fresh out of college, and my father had said that, "Are you going to give 6 attempts? Are you going to spend 6 years in this exam? No, right? Just go and give this exam. If you clear it, you clear it. So it will be." You can write the mains and you can get a hang of it. If not, the next year. Why to waste one whole year for this one chance? So my first attempt, I didn't clear, but I was pretty confident that I would do, but somehow. So I request you people not to waste an attempt. So that is one thing which I would like to share with you: not to waste an attempt, but however, not to waste a year also. That matters a lot. Because you can never be sure that you're completely prepared for this. This is this exam is so vast, and whatever you read before, you might feel like you've forgotten, but it will be there in your head. There's nothing to worry about it. But as far as any candidate, any person who's there, no one will feel that they're 100% ready to give the mains or prelims. So just trust yourself and give this exam whenever you get the chance, after a considerable amount of preparation. So yeah, after my first attempt, I oh, so I someone is saying I need to speak loudly, sorry. So after my first attempt, I initially, in my college, I was never interested in civil services. My whole motivation, my whole focus was towards the armed forces. I come from a defense family. My father is an army officer, my dad's younger brother is a navy officer. So it just runs in my blood. So I could not think anything else apart from the defense, and my sole aim was to crack the SSB interview, which is for the armed forces. However, despite my repeated attempts, I was not clearing it. That is when my father had told me to look into civil services, and I heeded his advice. And that's how I ended up into the coaching center. So right, number one, the motivation uh, which gave me to sit and listen in the class was that I had to heed my parents' advice, because I was not doing well in what I wanted. I was trying for armed forces, I was not getting through it. It's like walking through a brick wall. You need to have at one point you need to realize that it's not working for you, and you need to start heeding to advice also, right? So I that is what I did. I listened to my father's advice, and he pointed me towards civil services, saying that you can do a lot of good service here also. So uh, he he got me enrolled in a coaching center, and um, since I respected my father, I respected his words, and also the fact that he had put in his hard-earned money into coaching. I felt really that I should do justice to it. I was pretty motivated that I'm going to make the best out of this coaching. So that was my number one motivation at that time. I had to make best use of it, and I knew that irrespective of whether I clear this exam or not, I was definitely going to make the best use of this coaching. And the very first day, I felt that the amount of information that I had taken in, and I felt enlightened. It was a different sort of euphoria, and honestly speaking, in my whole academic life, I have never sat in the first bench. I was always a last bencher, and in coaching, that is the first time that I sat in the first row. And uh, I believe me, I listened to every word. I used to write down everything. I used to listen very attentively. I was thoroughly motivated to it. So as I said, number one motivation is your parents. So I'm pretty sure that most of you will be dependent on your parents. Most of the aspirants who come for civil services preparation will be dependent on their parents. Their parents will be putting in their hard-earned money for your preparation. So you have to respect that. You have to uh, ensure that you don't have any other distractions. You just focus on the fact that your parents have put in the hard earned money, and they have put in not just their money, they have put in the belief in you that their son or daughter is going to bring them name, and make them proud. So just that one motivation will definitely drive you. Beyond that, uh, yeah, in my second attempt, I the second attempt, that is my proper first attempt after preparation, after a year of preparation, I had not cleared in the prelims. I missed out by half a mark or so, very fine margin. So it was disappointing, it was definitely disappointing. And um, when I was looking at the alternative, what was in my hand? I had a job in TCS, but I had not joined it. I was prolonging the joining, saying, giving different reasons. So the thing is that I could not visualize myself doing something, uh, in a private firm, in a private IT company, in any private sector. I just could not visualize myself that I'll be working over there in a private firm. And because there's no offense about working in a private firm. It is just that I always wanted to don the uniform, and I have uh, uh, been honestly, I mean, the thing is that for me, I associate private sector work with something related to one's own development, just earning money for one own, uh, for myself or my family. But whereas the civil service is a much uh, different platform, wherein the canvas is so big, you can do service to so many other people, and you can, every night when you sleep, you can actually feel that mental satisfaction that you're doing something, and something worthwhile, something for the mankind, something for your nation, something for your people. You're giving back something to the society. So that is one thing which motivated me further, even in my in despite me not clearing the prelims by a fine margin. I was still motivated, because I more than motivated, you can say that I was scared of going into private sector and slogging like others, like my friends. I could see them slogging for 12 hours, 13 hours, whatever it was. And for what? For money. And money was never a motivation for me. Money has never been that. So that motivation or the drive, money never gave me that. Whereas the sense of service, that was something which I needed, right? So second major motivation was that I had the fear of joining something else, the fear of missing out on doing service, the fear of missing out on having a good night's sleep. And looking on a scale of 30 years, 30 odd years, you look that after 30 years, when you look back, what have I done? So I don't want to be that person who feels like I've not done anything. I've just gone to office every day and come back and I've not done anything else. I've not done anything that people will remember me for. So I don't want to be that person. That motivation, you have to have that. Just tell yourself that next 30, 35 years, I want to do something that is going to make a mark, right? So this is number 2. So somehow, despite me not clearing my prelims that year, I had incidentally given the CAPF exam. As I told you, I was a assistant commandant of CRPF previously. So I had simultaneously, because of civil services preparation, I got to know about CAPF, and I had given that. I had given that very casually. I didn't even know the exam format, the paper, the type of questions they were going to ask. I was just relaxed and I was not bothered about anything. I went and gave the exam, and each stage just went on clearing. I didn't even know. And by the time I had joined TCS, I was freshly I was into training in TCS, and within a month's time I got the news that I have cleared CRPF, and I was allotted CRPF after clearing the CAPF exam. So that gave me a sort of a backup. I know that many people won't get this sort of a backup, but I did. And I had two options. Either I stay in TCS and earn money till the time I was called for CRPF training, and CRPF training was good about 1.5 years after my date of selection. I had 1.5 years time. Actually, it 1 to 1.5 years, you can say, time. So my parents said, "Why don't you give another shot?" And I felt that yes, this is what is the most logical step, because I had initially set out on this goal, and because of this civil service preparation, I ended up getting something else. However, the fact that I initially started out for armed forces and CRPF is very, very similar to that. But the fact that I still had 1.5 years, so I definitely could have given one more attempt. So all these years effort was for what? For civil services, right? So I had that time and I utilized that, and I gave another attempt. But somehow I went on clearing each stage. I cleared the prelims, I cleared the mains, and I went to the interview. And finally, in the interview, I didn't make it. My name didn't feature in the final merit list. I on the day when the results were announced, I was not heartbroken. I didn't feel a pinch of disappointment. Reason being, I had CRPF in hand, so I was not scared that rest of my life is going to be something which I feared. CRPF was equally good. I was really happy in CRPF. So there was no fear. I was not disappointed. I was just enjoying my those people who had given interview with me. I was celebrating the success. I was enjoying it. I had not even a bit of disappointed that I had not cleared. However, after that, I had to make a choice. I had to either join CRPF. The joining was immediately before the results were announced, and I had taken some time off. So uh, I had just a few days to decide whether I give another attempt or I take relegation. Relegation means you skip one batch and you join the next batch. Unlike in civil services where you don't lose seniority, seniority is that your ranking amongst your peers or your colleagues in your batch. In CRPF, what happens is that so a person of say 2020 batch, if he takes this relegation or extension of batch, he becomes junior to the next batch also. He becomes junior to his own batch, he becomes junior to his next batch also. And I was 79th rank in that year, and among CRPF the candidates of CR who were allotted CRPF, I was among, in the top bracket. And in my batch I was the youngest. So I, looking at my career, I could say that yes, in my batch I could aspire to go to the highest, whatever highest possible post was available. I thought it was possible. But then the thing is that generally in CRPF the career progression is very slow. There's a lot of stagnation, and the because this the whole system, the whole organization is pyramidal in structure, unlike civil services, which is cylindrical, wherein everybody gets promoted timely. In CRPF it's very pyramidal, so there's a lot of stagnation, and I've seen that in army and other armed forces also. So I was uh, aware of the problems which might come in, after 20 or 15, 20 years down the line. So that was another motivation for me. So that time I decided, okay, I'll write the exam. If I clear the prelims, I'll take 1 year, that is one batch extension. And that is what I did. I wrote the prelims, I knew that I was clearing it, I took one batch extension, I wrote mains. And with the motivation that I have pledged everything, I pledged everything I had, that is the high rank that I held in CAPF, and the seniority, and my age advantage. As I told you, I was the youngest in my batch, and I was going to become junior to at least 100 more people. I was going down in the list, I was going almost 100 ranks below. So I took this gamble, I pledged everything I had. And that was a motivating factor for me, because I gave up what I had for something which I was trying. So civil services, as I told you, since I had set out for this initially, and it was a bigger canvas, wherein you can do service. So that is what I initially set out for. So and I had to do justice for that. So I wrote mains without any pressure. I didn't have Having motivation does not mean you get tensed and you say that this I do this, or I don't do anything else. Not like that. No, definitely not. Just be yourself, be calm, and do uh, your bit in it, and forget about everything else. Enjoy the journey, and the results will flow, right? So yeah, so eventually I was in training. I joined training in the month of November, immediately after writing mains. I gave my interview from my academy while I was in training, and I happened to clear it. I got 247th rank. Initially I was expecting IPS. I had a star mark beside my name which said that I'll be getting IPS, but eventually that didn't happen, and I got IRS, income tax. But I'm still happy with this, and uh, so you see, the motivating factor over here is that I had pledged something, I had given up something. So you also need to do that. You have to, if you if you believe in something, you have to pledge something, you have to mortgage something. Maybe it can be in your head, you just don't have to, it need not be anything physical, right? So, and lastly, another motivating factor was failure for me. As I told you initially, I had failed a lot of times in the armed forces selection, and each failure just galvanized me. I felt more stronger. I didn't feel weakened, I felt stronger. Each failure, like they say, when you hammer an iron or steel rod, it becomes stronger, right? Something, there's a proverb. So similarly, after each failure I became stronger and stronger. I felt more confident that this is what I want to do, this is what I can do, and I am pretty sure that I will do it. So like I said, uh, this is something which was motivating me. And failures, I request you not to take failures as some a depressing factor. It is just to strengthen you, right? And like, someone has just messaged me saying, their motivation doesn't last long. So what to do for that? See, motivation is something which is not like discipline. I told you in the beginning itself, motivation is something which wavers, for not just for you, it is for everyone, even for me. I told you, right, I cannot study for more than 10 minutes. Motivation was, if you see my story, I was telling you that 4 attempts, different times, prelims fail, then in the after interview not getting through. So motivation is a wave, it keeps wavering. You cannot have a steady motivation level. But what is possible is that you can be disciplined. I told you how disciplined you can be. You can just follow small goals, that will do it. And in fact, motivation is a dependent on time, how much time you have for preparation. When you have many months, many days for preparation, your motivation is like you become carefree, you become that, okay, fine, yeah, I have so many days left, I can definitely do it, and you study lesser. That, at least that is what I used to do in the beginning phase. Immediately after prelims, I would not study for months almost, and when there's just a month remaining for the mains, I would start studying faster. My goals would increase, I would give myself bigger goals. So that is normal, you see. So time is what motivates you sometimes, for at least for me. So when you have lesser time, you get more motivated. You feel like, oh shit, I have very less time and I need to complete this much syllabus. So time, right? Time is proportion, your motivation is linked to your time. However, there are some things, uh, like few of my friends used to follow. They used to put up photos of people who have come first, or their names, or keep seeing such people who have already cleared and take inspiration from them. However, such things didn't matter to me. Such things have never I've never tried such things, um, predominantly because the just clearing this exam is not was never my goal. And the letters that are added after your name is not something which is that is immaterial. That is a very materialistic way of seeing this whole whole journey. What your motivation should be, what your motivating factor should be, is that for the next 30-35 years, what you're going to do, what is going to define you. Is it just that those three letters after your name? Is it that what is going to define you, or the work that you do? So you have to feel that motivation yourself. You have to drive yourself, saying that I just don't want to, just don't stop at this, the final merit list. That should not be your vision, that should not be your goal. Your goal should be much further, for the next 30-35 years, right? uh, uh, some people are saying, please, Hindi mein boliye, but and some people are saying in English, so I'm really confused. uh, Nevertheless, since I've started in English, let me complete the whole thing in English itself. Maybe in another session, Hindi maybe. So um, yeah, so I'll say that motivation, don't get bogged down if you cannot do a particular day's portion completely. So in army, they say you can lose the battle, but you can afford to lose the battle, but you cannot lose the war. So the war is your, the long term vision that you have, the long term goal that you have set out for yourself. And the battle is just one day. If today you have some issue, like uh, a person who is preparing from home, I know what all problems we face at home. Like, you have to do a lot of household, uh, uh, some chores are there, and and then your parents lose patience. They start, because neighbors will start asking you, what is your son doing? And when you go to your hometown, your relatives start asking. um, so all this I have faced. A lot of my relatives, I cannot say that, see, I'm preparing. I go on saying for 4 years that I'm preparing. And as a matter of fact, uh, at one point of time, even my parents got, their patience, they were losing patience. I was even nicknamed um, Muhammad of Ghazni, because of my repeated attempts for armed forces selection. So my dad used to jokingly say, "हाँ Ghazni Muhammad Ghazni nikal gaya hai." So So that is these are some things which you know some things which can demotivate you, but you have to have that resilience, that perseverance. You have to go on, you have to you have to just keep on chugging along. You have to ensure that you cross the finish line, so that uh, it is for everyone, right? You have to prove it, you have to prove yourself first that yes, I set out on this task and I will not give up on it, right? So uh, another factor of staying home, at home you have all the comfort, your mother gives you food, and you have a comfortable room and everything. Whereas when you're staying away from your home in some city, so those people who are preparing in Rajandan or Mukherjee Nagar, they have to uh, face problems like washing their clothes, cleaning the rooms, um, not getting proper food. All these things are there, so they can also be a demotivating factor. So it depends on each individual. You have to have that mental willpower, the mental resilience, and you have to just push through. Don't get bogged down. That is what uh, matters at the end of the day. And furthermore, a lot of people uh, other things which I never followed is that some people compete with their peers. They check how the other person is studying, how much has the other person studied. So I personally was a very laggard. I would study very less, so there was no point in competing with my friends and all. And I would also suggest you not to do it, because it can be quite demotivating to see that okay, that person has a if someone has a capacity of studying for 18 hours a day, that person might do it. Why should you compare with that person? You enjoy your process, you enjoy the process of studying. Only then you will, the whole journey will be enjoyable. You won't feel that stress. If you are like competing with someone, then it can demotivate you immensely. So I suggest you don't do that. But still, if some people uh, can indulge in healthy competition, that is fine, right? uh, and similarly, watching toppers talks, as I told you, that putting posters and everything, I never used to do, because it is firstly uh, you know uh, like like I said, whatever you know that these are the things, like uh, uh, what they did. What you have to chart out your own path. What they did might not suit you, so why should you waste your time listening to how they studied, what they did? Or it is immaterial. You chart out your own path, you do what suits you, right? There's no particular, like there's no single formula for success in this exam. There are multiple paths. Everyone can achieve the same thing. So there's seriously, there's no need to follow someone who's already done it. Just follow them. No, I'm telling you, just enjoy the process and forget about the results. Just enjoy it. So um, yeah, so that's about it. I think we have covered for the day, and I'll see some uh, queries that were posted to me. I'll just check them. um, yeah, first of all, someone had asked about completing syllabus, the time required. So see, it depends on, as I told you, for each person it uh, differs. If you have the ability to study for a longer duration, you can do it. But eventually you have, say, between prelims and mains, whatever the time, so 3 months. So you have to cover that portion in 3 months, and it is very much feasible. Whether you study for 10 hours a day or whether you study for 4 hours a day, it is very much feasible. You can do it. If you believe that you have done it, you can do it. I'll tell you why. Firstly, prelims, for that you need to study. What you need to study is, I personally feel that just NCRTs and the basic books like Lakshmikant and all these books, whatever basic books that they tell in coaching, or all these websites which post the basic books for each. Not more than one is required. NCRTs plus standard books, right? that you are going to cover for your prelims itself. In the prelim stage itself, all your static portion gets covered. You have to read the newspaper religiously. That is something I did. you know uh, as I told you, I was very disciplined about reading the newspaper. So that is something which you cannot, that is non-negotiable. You cannot forget about newspaper. You have to do that, because newspaper is something which is every day you get information. Every uh, newspaper is a document in itself. You have to read that. You have to make notes from that. If you feel that you will, you cannot remember it. So number one is newspaper. Number two is NCRT and other standard books. Okay. So once you finish your if you clear prelims, what do you have to study next? Only thing that is common between prelims and your mains is that the history, geography, paper 1, that is GS1, that is the common portion, all the static portions. So there is no need to worry. You have already done it. Only new thing that you need to do is your world history. This is the only new thing. So among static portions, you do extra for mains is that world history. Apart from that, what do you have in GS2, GS3, ethics? These all papers are things which you can find from the newspaper. If you just read the newspaper for the last 1 year or something, you will definitely be in a position to answer all the questions which are there in GS2, 3, and even ethics. For that, you don't need any newspaper, any book. It is your own conscience. Ethics paper can be answered very well without any preparation. So I feel that for mains, minimal preparation is needed. Having said that, just to uh, you know um, just to enhance your capacity, you should uh, read that or whatever current affairs modules that are given out by. I personally used to follow Vision's current affairs modules, and I have also seen another one I'm forgetting. Anyways, so Vision is which I followed, because the current affairs module would cover everything like science and tech and every science and tech, environment, all those aspects, right? So this was very comprehensive, and I it was just providing me an analysis of what was already given in the newspaper. So I had the information, I had the analysis of the newspaper, and I was getting uh, how to analyze things. It was showing me the way of analysis. So with time, it helps you. As you keep reading it, it provides you practice, right? And mm, yeah, so for mains, there is very little preparation that is needed, apart because you've already done it for prelims. So I feel that once you have cleared prelims, the in between duration is very less. And for prelims, lot of things, no matter how much you prepare, how much you don't prepare, it doesn't matter. It is that day's play, that day's game. And more of your how you, whether you have kept your eyes open, whether you have kept your ears open. Most of the things that you see in the news, in the prelims question paper, uh, can be, are mostly from in and around you. Like, there was once a question which was asked about the ingredients of Sprite or 7 Up or some fizzy drink. So things like that, I'm saying, it's everything is around you, right? So you don't have to worry much. No matter how much preparation you do, it is not enough. And at the same time, no, despite how less you prepare, it is going to be enough. I have known people who have prepared for hardly few days. I myself, in the year which I got selected, that time I had hardly 5 or 6 days to prepare for the prelims, because I was supposed to join CRPF and I had to make a decision after the results, interview results. I had hardly 10 days. And in those 10 days, I managed to clear prelims. Whereas when I prepared for one whole year, I didn't clear the prelims. So it is, you can never say how much time is required. Second, we'll further now see the next question: how to prepare while in college. Like I said earlier, someone is also asking me right now how to prepare in first year of college. I just would suggest that you read the newspaper every single day. that will give you the knowledge which is about what is happening around the world, what is happening in your own place. Okay, and a lot of policy decisions that are taken, you will be well aware. You'll be in a good position to acquire your all the knowledge that you are going to need when you're going to write the exam. So that is one thing, you need to keep reading the newspaper. And secondly, you can, if you have time, you can start off with NCRTs. But I think it would be little too much in first year of college itself. Maybe in your final year of college, or even after that, NCRTs, you can, no matter how many times you read, it will be uh, it's not going to go waste. Like history and all, they can twist questions and everything, and no matter how many times you read, it is going to be of use. So relax and read about this thing, this NCRT, and newspaper. So these two things. And apart from that, as I told you, keep your eyes and ears open. No matter what you do, gather information from it. Like I said, from your, if you are playing video games, gather information from that. Age of mythology, age of empires, you can learn about civilizations, what they were famous for, what was Persia famous for, what was Rome famous for. Like that you can learn. In age of mythology, you can know which god is for which, like Mars is for war, Neptune is for this. Like that you information is everywhere. You just have to keep your eyes and ears open, and you have to grasp it. So that is the thing which you need to do while you're in college, or while you're in school, while you're even during preparation. You just have to keep your eyes and ears open. That is what is going to get help you sail prelims, and even in mains it can help you, right? So this is something you need to do. Enjoy the process, enjoy the process of gathering information. Even for movies you can gather, even from video games, everywhere it is available. If you travel somewhere, like recently I went to Ladakh, and you know what I saw double humped camel. And when this was asked, just in 2019 prelims question, there was a question which related to that. So when you travel also, you get to see a lot of things. You have to keep your eyes and ears open. You need to know about your country, right? So that is one thing. And a lot of people are asking about language. Someone had asked me about stammering, and so I'd say that I have known people who stammer, and they have got through. They are there in IAS, IPS, IFS. I personally know there are so many batchmates of mine who have problem of stammering. So don't worry about that. And similarly, language, I there are so many people who have cleared this whole examination, this whole process, by writing in regional languages. I have a batchmate who had written all his papers in Tamil, and I know someone who had written all his papers in Hindi. So this is very common. You don't have to worry about language. You just have to, analysis is the key. It doesn't matter in which language you do it. Analysis is the key. And someone had asked me about role of extracurricular activities. So as I told you, um, I used to play football. I actually used to play a lot of other games also, because it keeps your mind stress free. It's a stress buster. You need to do things. And even in your when you're giving the interview for civil services, they have a column which asks you uh, uh, what are your extracurricular activities, what are your hobbies. That is an important thing. Your entire interview can revolve around that. So um, you have to cultivate some hobby. You have to have something that you do apart from preparing for this exam. You have to do something, because that is what will develop you holistically. And you cannot just sit in a closed room to clear this exam. You are going to be a civil servant and work in the society, so you have to know what your society is, right? You have to have not just IQ, you have to have EQ also, that is emotional quotient also. So extracurricular activities does play a important role. So someone had asked about transparency of UPSC. Don't worry, UPSC is very transparent. Of course, luck does play a role, because different people will be correcting different people's answer papers, right? So there is a bit of subjectivity when it comes to that. That is human tendency. One person might like uh, someone's paper and give more marks, or someone might be in a different mindset. So there is a bit of subjectivity, but UPSC does has its own normalization process. So don't worry about the transparency. Even in the interview, there is not just one person who's checking you, there are multiple people, right? So you don't have to worry about all those things. And someone has asked about the qualities needed to be a good civil servant. So you just have to have empathy first of all, and the analytical bent of mind, that the mentality to serve your people, serve your nation, serve mankind in general. That should be your uh, that should be the quality in you. That that is something which has to come on its own. You can it's better that you have it. If you don't have it, then you better cultivate it, because that is what is going to earn you name and fame and whatever that you wish to earn. Anyways, sometimes people are asking me that sometimes reading gets too boring, so what to do? So that is normal for everyone. Even I would in matter of few minutes I would just sleep off. So reading sometimes gets boring, but you just have to you know segregate it, split it into parts and say that today I'm going to do this much. Today this is my goal. And I remember there was a time when I felt like ripping apart the environment book which I was studying. There's a book for environment, right? I felt like ripping it apart. I was completely frustrated with it. So uh, it was something which I felt, but I had to get through it. Slowly I did it. You have to do it. There's no other go. No one else can do it for you. You have to do it yourself. So, and someone had asked how to make notes, right, about for newspaper and everything. There are different ways. You have to invent your own way. I can say something, and I what I say might not suit you, right? So you have to invent your own way. That is the best way. If you get printed notes of photocopied notes of some topper, when you read those, you might understand them, or you might not. Somebody's handwriting might not be understandable. Someone might write in short form, or something which is personal to them. You have to you cannot decipher that, right? So the thing is that you have to cultivate your own method, your own uh, way of writing things. So there's no hard and fast rule that this is how you have to do it. I used to just take the newspaper, and I used to see what all points are important, and I used to write them. I used to write them detailedly, not like short. In no way it was short. It was extremely long. But the thing I did was I would never read my newspaper notes. I would never go through them for before the exam. I would never touch them. I would never, after writing, I would never see it again. So just once when I write it, it used to get registered in my mind. And again, when I read those current affair modules that I said, I used to see, because you might miss out a lot of things in the newspaper. So these current affair modules that these coaching institutes upload on the websites, like Vision, I used to see Vision. So that helped me a lot. I used to see that either for pre or mains. It was very good because it was analytical and it was also factual. So that is something which augmented my newspaper notes. And how to read NCRT? You just have to read it like a storybook. NCRT is nothing much, it is very simple to understand, and you just can read it easily. So there's no problem in um, there's no other way of reading NCRT. You just have to read it like a normal storybook. So apart from that, I'm seeing a lot of questions. Let me see. um, how how to get success in the exam. As I told you, ensure that you're looking at the final goal, and not just those three letters behind your name. I think success will follow you. And schedule following is very hard, then make the schedule easy. Miss Shivani Mishra has asked. So, as I told you, discipline is something which you set out for yourself. No one is required to monitor you. You are your own king. You are your own uh, wazir or whatever. You have to make your schedule, make it such that it is interesting for you, and follow it religiously. What kept me motivated through this journey? That is something which I have already shared. And I am, someone has asked me which medium I am from. I am from English medium, but that doesn't matter, ma'am. Uh, you can be of any medium, and you can ace this exam. I'm pretty sure it is just how you think, how you present, how you uh, put forth your ideas is what matters, not the language or the medium. So don't worry, ma'am, you will do great. How to read and make Hindu newspapers notes, I've already told you about that. And how to prepare from home, key things to keep in mind. So yeah, so as I have been telling you, just there will be a lot of distractions, your household chores and everything, but you have to devote time for your studies. You might not be able to devote 16 hours, 18 hours like others do, but definitely whatever little. And I used to study late in the night when everyone was asleep. I used to study that time. So that was the most effective period when I was studying. So these are some things. And uh, I think there are a lot of questions, and I've answered quite a few. Uh, so I think we can call it a day. And further on, if you need anything, I can definitely make, like, we can have another session, as Abhijit has been telling me. So in the next session, maybe we can handle more questions. And yes, answer writing will also, I think we can deal that also. So before we sign off, I think I must once again thank Abhijit for the admin of UPSC Guide for giving this opportunity to interact with all of you. And I must also congratulate those who have cleared pre and who are writing mains. And all the best to all those who are writing mains, and all the best for those aspirants who didn't clear this time. And I'm pretty sure that next time you will do, because statistically it is not possible that everyone who writes, lakhs and lakhs of people write, it is not possible that everyone will feature in the final list. It is just that those who have perseverance and are determined, are motivated. You have to motivate yourself, and only you can do that. No one else can do it. So motivate yourself, be determined, fight for it. Eventually you'll not just see your name in it, and you'll be able to serve your country, serve your people, and make your parents and all those who know you, you can make them proud, and you can be proud of yourself, and you can sleep well at night. And all the best to every aspirant. And see you next time. Have a good day. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.